All right, we are back at it on the SuccessFlow podcast, and today we have a real treat for you. We have a guest today, Patrick McNamara, who's joining us, and super excited to have Patrick, who is the president of Griffin Construction, a high-integrity operator in the AZ construction scene. Patrick's known for his no-nonsense leadership style, deep work ethic, and grounded presence in our shared men's group, Junto. He's got a background in small-town Tucson, and from our conversation, shaped by rodeo, family values, and resilience. Welcome to the SuccessFlow podcast, Patrick. How you doing today?
Thank you, boys. I'm doing great. Although, like I mentioned before, I don't know how much rodeo you can say in there. I just grew up having to take care of 15 horses and riding horses, so I don't claim to be a cowboy, but I certainly had my share of experiences and enjoy rodeo. So
you weren't up on the big bull holding hands up, getting that 8 seconds.
Although I did ride a bull called Buttercup one time in Tucson. There's a rodeo that happens on Friday nights, where kids can go, and it's just like a dirt lot, and they have rodeos, and there's a bull with no horns if you want to see if you can ride, and they put 10-year-olds on this bull, but unfortunately I didn't stay on the whole time.
Dude, those 10-year-olds are braver than I, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I saw Phil ride a bull one time. He did it up at Buffalo Chip in Cave Creek. I don't think that one had horns either, but he had to sign a death waiver, I think, to get on that thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's where that came from. Patrick and I had a heart-to-heart up at Summit about this.
No way.
We connected. We'd talk for a half hour about rodeo.
Yeah.
We are not cowboys, but he's more of a cowboy than I am.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll grow up to be a big boy someday.
Yeah. Well,
let's jump in. We know that we're connected by Junto. That's what brought us together. But we like to take a step back and back to the horses. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and background and how you were raised, and tell us a little bit about Patrick's early years.
Well, I was born to a 16-year-old mother that didn't know what she was doing, but did a great job in figuring it out. And she always had a love for horses. So she had a horse or took care of horses or were involved around horses one way or another ever since I was growing up. And so I just kind of learned to ride and, was a part of my upbringing. And, it seemed like every guy she married, which were several, had horses. So I had my fair share of doing chores.
Cleaning up the stables and whatnot, right? Staying out of trouble.
Yeah. You call it mucking stalls, but
free labor.
You get pretty good at it when you want to go out and play or ride your bike or motorcycle or get in your car. So you get your chores done fast, no matter how much they are.
What was that like, man? I mean, having a teenage mom and growing up. Like, I mean, do you have siblings?
I'm an only child.
Okay. What was that like?
I think that it was great. I have a unique set of circumstances, but looking back as an adult now, I can see some of the challenges that I've had later in life coming from, maybe a not so stable child home and stuff like that. But I love my mom. She's not with us anymore. She died in 2020, and it was just it was interesting because my mom always made me number one. She was my best friend, and I was a mama's boy growing up, in Tucson, but I also lived in Georgia as well for a while. So I kind of grew up with manners, and it's a yes ma'am, no sir, and open doors and pay the bill kind of scenario. And so I think I had a great childhood, but I can see looking back, there might have been some bumps along the road.
Yeah, well, it sounds like she was an incredible woman. You're obviously a stand-up guy and have done very well for yourself thus far. And, it's great to know you. Sorry to hear about your mom, a few years ago. Yeah. But I have
her for my work ethic because she worked her tail off, man. She was only a single mother most of my childhood, and I was a latchkey kid, so I would come home and she would be cleaning carpet. She owned a carpet cleaning company called Treat Your Feet. And then when I was younger, she ran a carpet cleaning business called Scrub Your Rugs.
That's funny. So were you involved with that at all? Did you help her out in the business?
Yeah. It's actually how I learned to drive. I lived in an apartment complex when I was in 7th grade, and I had a pager. I was one of the only kids at school with a pager.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. She would page me with a number of the apartment that the carpet cleaning van was parked in front of. And I would have to set up the carpet cleaning machine and clean the carpets in that apartment, and that's how we paid our rent. And then I would drive the van through the apartment complex to our apartment and park it. So that was kind of how I started in carpet cleaning. And then as when I was older, like in high school before I had a license, I would go on jobs with her to houses, and while she was getting them to pay the bill, I'd be hustling the homeowner to steam clean the carpets in their car for like $45. So I've always been trying to hustle to make money, and did pretty well cleaning carpets.
Yeah, growing up with a single mother entrepreneur, I didn't know we shared that, honestly, until this
really?
moment. So I'm curious, did you also get your fair share of the household duties as well, that a lot of young cooking your laundry, or was that?
That's a great question. I think I was just required to do the normal things you'd ask a child to do in chores. I had a set of chores: cleaning up the stables, feeding the horses, and cleaning my room and all that stuff. But my mom always cleaned and cooked and did the laundry, I think.
And ran a business. Sounds like a special lady.
Yeah, she's a hard worker.
Is that where you got, because I kind of included it in the intro, and we're kind of jumping to more present state, but what I appreciate about you so much, especially in Gento, is cutting through the bullshit and getting straight down to the thing at hand. Is that from her, or is that a culmination of things in between then and now?
That's a great question. I don't think I got that specific from her. I think that, I've been told a lot that I'm an acquired taste, and it's because I have curt conversation, and maybe I could sugarcoat things a little bit more. But somewhere around 10 years ago, I just decided to stop telling lies and embellishing things, because I did that so much in my life, and I value loyalty and honesty, and I've gotten a real good filter to know when I'm getting that and not getting it from other people. So I have this phrase that, the harder it is to say something, the faster you should probably get to saying it, because it's easier. It's easy to tell an untruth, and then it starts easy to, and even to yourself, and then it's easy to start telling lies, and then all of a sudden, you're embellishing. And I embellished a lot growing up because I needed to fit in. I went to 4 different middle schools, 3 different high schools, 3 different elementary schools. And so making friends and fitting in was something I had to become good at. And I used lying, I think, younger to do that. And I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, it was probably more. I was just gonna say it's probably more about just trying to like you said, fit in, right? Just agreeable, just agreeing with what other people, just saying, hey, yeah, totally, even though it's that's not really what you want to do or what you think or whatever.
It was probably more like embellishing. Like if I had a truck, I had 10 trucks, or if it was an old truck, it was a brand new truck, and I wanted to look cool. Like a lot of things, I see kids do that these days too. It's normal, but I see adults that do it. And, and it's just, and that might be because one thing I'm not is agreeable. I never was. I never was susceptible to peer pressure. And I'm just a person that can stand up and say no. And that just built on, if you tell me to do something, I'm likely not to do it.
Do you have is that how, okay, so now fast forward to now, you're president of Griffin Construction. You guys do roofing, restoration, all sorts of stuff. When you bring that mentality into the business world, leading teams and building a successful business and all that kind of stuff, how is that a bit of a hard-nosed approach? How does that work with leading the team in the blue-collar field?
Sometimes it doesn't, oddly enough. It's been difficult for me to navigate that in terms of employees, because a lot of times they don't need that type of thing, being truthful and honest with them is I took this from Zanzibar. Being able to take apart non-performance is something that you can do with an arm around the shoulder rather than a finger in the face. And that was difficult for me to learn because it cost me a lot of employees, a lot of money, and a lot of time and success, I think. But I value that mainly with my friends, is to just be honest and open. And I bring that to the clients, when I say, hey, here's a problem, here's why it's a problem, and here's how we're going to fix it and when we're going to fix it by. And I've been able to massage that in a professional manner with more nice language and being more friendly than just a hard-nosed asshole like I once was. But the same the same sentiment follows through, but the language is much more professional and the attitude is much more caring these days. I always meant well, but I didn't always articulate it well.
Leading teams and whatnot, do you have direct reports that are managers, or is it a full staff that's rolling up to you, and are you leading quite a bit of people?
It's been both. Currently, we're a little bit more of a boutique shop, and I've got my hands more around everything, the project-wise, sales-wise, and the customers. It's a little bit of a shrinking time for a lot of contractors. Things aren't as busy as they once were, and so it's been both. I've had probably as many as 20 or so reporting to me, and then 60 or 80 in the entire company, to just a few now.
Talking to a number of folks that have either built a house from scratch or done a total remodel, the number of times you hear about your time frame and whatever the builder told you, time frame and cost, baking in the buffer, all the above. It blew my mind, and I thought about it a lot, that it was such a thing that you had to do, and how differentiation could be of just getting a job done on time with the right materials. Obviously, we have macro conditions, that what happened in 2020 and beyond, and now a totally different type of cycle. But curious from your perspective, how has Griffin approached that? Word on timing, how do you compete against it, and how do you differentiate?
I think a lot of it has to do with good planning, a good team, and then managing expectations, and it costs me jobs sometimes when I appear higher than my competitor because I don't use the kind of change orders, or I don't forget things. So it's more of an all-inclusive type of bid. And the same with the time frame. A lot of times my competitors, and maybe I should adopt some sort of this, I just don't want to. Like, it comes back to telling that an untruth, is that, I'll tell somebody it's going to be a year for this process. For example, when your house burns down, and I tell you, it could be a year before we even get to do construction because of the negotiation between your insurance carrier and yourself. Yeah. And they have a dozen other contractors standing behind me saying that they can get started next week. And once you get hooked in with somebody, that's just not the case. Now we value being on time and in budget 100% of the time. And it just goes because I have more experience, but I tell the truth up front. And sometimes that does end up costing me an opportunity. But the sad thing for that is, even though I don't have an opportunity or I don't get the income, I feel bad for the client because I know that nobody's going to want to do their job or do a better job for them like I do.
And do you lead with that in the sales process? Are you saying this is what you are likely going to hear from others, and this is why, and this is what? I would imagine.
Yeah, I have, and it's cost me a big deal recently. And I sat down and I just, customer went a different way because of a personality conflict, because of the nature of this. And I was like, I just haven't gotten an opportunity to do my job for you guys yet. But I have to tell you, it's like, the reason that I'm emotional right here in this meeting, and it's fine. It's 2:00 on a Friday. I missed a vacation with my son to sit here and do this with you at your, interior designers. But I was like, what you're seeing here is the fact that I'm sad that you don't like me. And I'm like, I like you guys, and I just wanted to do a good job for you. I could care less about the money. I could care less about using the pictures of the house on my website and stuff like that. I was like, I just wanted to go to work for you. And it was pretty, they were kind of shocked about that, but it's just the truth, is that, like, it just hurt my feelings because I didn't do a good job of showing my heart to the client. And I think that that's what it takes in terms of contracting, whether we're building a home from ground up or doing a large luxury remodel. But if it's an insurance event, like your house burns down, sometimes I'm showing up to your family on the worst day of your family's life.
Right, for sure.
It's just plain simple. It's sad, and it's important, and it's not just a job for me.
Now, do you get most of your business from referrals and past? Something happens to a neighbor, and then all of a sudden something happens to their friend, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, Patrick Griffin, he's the one that he's going to lay it down exactly how it's going to happen," as opposed to some of these others that just give you the fluff and just trying to get your business.
The good luxury remodels and stuff happen that way. Like, our roofing business has been in town here 30 years, so we have 48,000 customers, and we do a fair bit of marketing. And in that side of the business, 67% of our business is from repeat customers or referrals. Yeah. And so a tremendous amount of what we bring to the table and the opportunities we get are based on the fact that myself, my partner, and the employees that we have working for us try to do a good job and approach it with heart. And
so you've got the roofing, and then you're leading like the restoration construction side, right, of Griffin. Yep. All right. So I'm sure on the restoration side, like you said, houses burning down, like things happen, right? Like it's crazy worst days for families and whatnot. You had to have seen some nutty stuff over the years. Like, what's the craziest thing that you see? Like almost the most idiotic, like how could you even do that and your house just blew up or whatever, right? Like what's the craziest story you've got?
Well, I can hit a couple of them. Most recently, walking backwards, a month ago, a friend, customer, gives me a call. He's got a rental house that had burned down and he hadn't been there. And I showed up, and there's a, maybe like what would be termed a BDSM kind of situation in the bedroom with chains and like an electric winch.
Some candles.
Pods set up. And then rolling back from that, I've cleaned up after a house that somebody had passed away in and been in there for 4 months. And that,
man.
Yeah.
It's not going to smell good.
A body, decomposing body smells very, very sweet, as a matter of fact, like a very pungent, sweet smell. And then, we did a lot of cash for keys and a lot of foreclosure remodels. And I've, my wife, this is my wife's story. She goes with the sheriffs to have someone removed from the house so we can take possession of it. And they're acting like a dog barking on the other side. And so they won't open the door.
The person is?
Yeah. Finally, the police get in, and shelves and shelves and shelves are sex toys and masks and stuff like that. And so I've seen crazy things, absolutely crazy things. I've seen a car the aftermath of a drunk driver missing a corner, going through the house and ending up in the pool in the backyard.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you come in, like when something like that, are you doing just a full tear down and rebuild? I mean, how are you restoring? There's nothing you can do you're taking it all the way down to the bones.
Most of those are, most of those are taking it down. But, people, you go into people's houses and, you don't realize it, but there's a lot of different people in this world, and we don't judge. I don't care, but you kind of go in and there's things in closets and things under beds and things that people didn't know they leave out. And you just,
things that make you
just smile and pretend like you don't see it and do your job.
Yeah.
So this is perfect, because I didn't even know if I was going to bring this point up when we were prepping here, but like construction is a metaphor for life. Like purpose of this podcast is defining success for yourself. And when you look at the rhythm of breaking ground, building up, managing chaos, whether the sex toys are involved or someone has driven through your house or not, those are life's events that come at us, and completing the job phase after phase. I just was like, man, there's something there. So from your perspective,
well, think about it, the foundation of life and the structure of the framing and how fat, it is. And
making improvements.
When we go in a restoration type scenario, it's at like the industry says you want to rebuild the house to its pre-loss condition. But, it's cliche as it is, but I'm actually trying to rebuild your life to its pre-loss condition, because it's a horrific thing to be uprooted. But even if you just buy a house and you have a remodel, that's 6, 8, 10, 12 months of like the buildup to when are we going to get into this dream home? When we're going to do this? I mean, it's fantastic to be a part of this. Not to drone on, but there was a conversation that this family was moving from Arkansas, and I wasn't the lead on the project, just the owner of the company. I had a construction manager named Gus. It was fantastic. And these people bought a house in Silverleaf, and they came the day we started demo. They came once during the middle of the project, and then they showed up with their semi truck and all of their furniture moving. And when we were walking her through the house, she was just in tears because she was so happy. I mean, that was one of the best days of my construction life. I didn't do it. I was just walking my superintendent. Yeah, it was amazing. So, it can be very, very moving. And this is a huge asset for people, and it's their dream home. And we get to be a part of that.
Well, there's a piece of delayed gratification there too, right? Like we talk about that a lot in this podcast. It's like immediate reward is the problem often, myself included, this day and age. And that delayed gratification, you can feel it on people when they're uprooted like that and waiting for such a pivotal portion of their life to be complete. You can feel the energy coming off of them.
Yeah.
Just not settled.
On the other side of that, there's people that you can't ever make happy. So
just like life. Just like life.
Yeah. And I run on attaboys, man, and sometimes I just don't get the attaboy.
That's funny. That's funny. So, like you have obviously you have a knack for building and putting pieces back together and all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you were doing all throughout your childhood too? Were you always crafting and building stuff, and whether it's forts or you just kind of just had the ability.
Man,
so let's go.
Back to the life story. I got off track there. So back to that. So I was always a charismatic kid and a salesman. I was working at the county fair and the booth where they have all the jewelry cleaners and watch and all that stuff. And I would stand out in the aisle and I'd get these old ladies walking by and I'd go grab their hand and come here, let me clean your jewelry. And I would take their rings off and I would clean their jewelry at 12 years old and be selling jewelry cleaner at $20 a deal. I was selling Kool-Aid and I was in middle school. I was selling Kool-Aid and sugar packages in bags for money, like Fun Dip.
I could actually see you running through some walls saying, hey, just bright red.
Yeah, man. And so I was in sales and I sold industrial chemicals and janitorial supplies. Basically sold toilet paper door to door in Tucson. Kind of moved up here and met some guys in the real estate community, and then fell into construction just from that way. So I got a pretty wide variety education in construction in a short amount of time, living through the 2007 crash and then so on and so forth. So I didn't get into construction until my mid-20s. Yeah. I didn't know how to build a birdhouse when I got into construction. And standing on a job site, my first ever construction site was building an apartment complex. It was 8 units, 4 duplexes, and
that's a big deal.
I didn't know shit. I was 25 years old asking the dumbest question to 50-year-old framers, and I was supposed to be the boss. It was terrible.
Well, that's like one of the biggest misconceptions. People think that you have to know everything or be prepared before you jump into something. And the best knowledge and expertise you get is the field knowledge and just getting in there and trying it. And we see it so often that people are afraid to make that leap because they have no idea how to do something. But if you never actually have the opportunity to act on it, you'll never learn how to do it. And so people just don't make that move. So more power to you for jumping into something you weren't fully clear on. It's like, hey.
Yeah, I have a knack for doing that apparently.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, you mentioned your wife earlier. She's awesome. We love hanging out with you guys and when we have our Junto events and other things. And obviously you do a lot of travel adventures and whatnot, camping, and you got your RV and all that. So talk about that a little bit and your adventures and, what it's like to escape, I guess, the day to day and get out into nature and whatnot.
I have an amazing wife. I'm super, super lucky. She's from Florida. She's such a down to earth girl. She's super beautiful, but she's more beautiful on the inside. And I've really come to love just adventure with her because I was growing up without things. When I started to be successful, I wanted things. So I bought a lot of things and now I want to buy a lot of experiences, and I get to do that with her, and they're worth so much more. And so, we have an RV, it's a toy hauler. We go to the dunes in the wintertime. We have a boat. We go to the lake in the summertime, but we keep our RV up north, and we just get to go up there and sit in the woods. And my partner has acreage up there, and he just likes to have all his friends with him. And so people come up there that we don't know well, and different friends groups meet and mix, and we sit around a campfire and you become instantly friends. And it reminded me of how I got to where I'm at now. I was just a kid that didn't have shit and didn't know shit from Tucson, hanging out with a uncle by marriage at the dunes in Yuma. And I met these guys hanging around this campfire. And it was just by happenstance that I didn't know these guys were already millionaires, soon to be decamillionaires. One of them is a billionaire. And I didn't realize that because in the dirt, drinking beers and sitting around a campfire, nobody gives a shit how much money you have. And you develop real friendships. And those people saw something in me and ended up saying, hey, why don't you move up to Phoenix and let me help you out, or let me give you a job. And there's a long line of men that have taken a liking to me and said, man, this kid's got something. I'm going to give him an opportunity. So I had a lot of help, and I had a lot of people, call them mentors, that opened a door, but they always made me do the work and walk through the door. And that's kind of how I got here. So as much as I can do that for other people, I want to.
That's awesome.
Bamboo banger.
That is a bamboo banger. I have there's 4 ways I think opportunities come about, and it's either prompted from thought, your own thoughts. It's created with effort, your own actions. It's discovered through your experience, which is your skills or expertise. And then it's offered through relationships. And each one, no matter how they come about, it's up to you to take advantage of that opportunity when it aligns. And it sounds like you've had some really cool relationships and salt of the earth type of guys, like multimillionaires that are like, they're not the ones that are out there trying to prove flashiness or look at me, I got 10 cars or whatever. They're just salt of the earth guys. And they're wealthy and they give you an opportunity. And now, here you are. So kudos to you for recognizing that and saying yes to that opportunity, man.
Hell yeah. Well, I was broke and these guys were rich
and financially motivated also helps too.
Yeah, for sure. And I've learned some things. The more money you get, the cheaper you get, I think, probably
don't they say the rich are always staying rich because they're saving all their cash? Like they're just not spending it on stupid stuff.
Yeah. It's easy to make, hard to keep.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm fortunate enough to in my life thankfully I got a mentor, my best friend, and he's a pretty conservative guy financially, and he's like, we got to pay your houses off, we got to pay your cars off, you can't be making payments on boats and toy haulers and stuff like this. And so I took a Dave Ramsey approach, if you will, and became debt free in 2021, and
nice, man.
Probably never going to look back from that. It's great.
I wanted to bring up, and I honestly can't remember which year it was. I know we were kicking off in Nate's office, and it was so early, it was still almost dark outside. That's what I remember about the day. But it was early in the year, and you at the time, you're actually the reason I have this Apple Watch. I saw you rocking the Pro, and I was like, man, I remember that specifically because I bought it like the next day. But that's not my point. My point was you were really deep into the tracking and journal exercise.
Yeah.
You had gone deep into that. We talk about it a lot on this podcast. Get it out of your head on paper, even if that paper goes in the trash.
Yeah.
But the tracking of journals, getting things down. Can you talk a little bit about that? And if you're still doing it, if not, that's all fine. Just want to hear your process through it.
Yeah. I mean, I have my journal right here. They kind of go in waves, to be honest with you, but I use a journal, every 3-month journal. And I realized that I'm a list guy. I really like writing down a list. And then there's that, that whole dopamine effect of writing down something and checking it off and whatnot. And so it kind of started with that. And then it started with the routine. But I never gravitated towards anything electronic when it comes to that. And so I don't sit down and necessarily journal every day or write a diary, although I think that has a lot of value. I just have a bit of a attention span problem with that. But the accountability, the making the list, and then the feeling good. And then there's these like cathartic things like habit trackers and the things that man, I said I was going to do these 5 things every day, and I can't sit down until I do that. And so I didn't make any of this up. And, and it's all over every personal development, every coach and every that stuff is like, write it down, make a plan and plan your work and work your plan. I mean, it's just
simplest thing.
It's the simplest thing, but I actually enjoy doing it and carrying it with me and having it now. And people ask me about the journal, and if I didn't buy you one, I might have, but I've, from people at restaurants to friends, I've probably purchased 30 of these journals, and I just send them right from my Amazon to their people address, total strangers.
Well, Steven's bought us both one. Know that. I've got it here from
the Ben Franklin leather bound one.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
True.
Yeah, man, it was. I remember that too. I seen you, and you got real small handwriting. I remember the question, like, how does he read that back? Like, I can't even see. You can't even see that. You just get it out of your head. But that's the beauty of it, right? It's just. But so you're a list guy. I'm an inbox zero email type of guy. Same thing. It's almost like you just got to check it off. Like, mark it done.
Yeah.
Is that why you have that list? Because when it's lost in your thoughts, like, okay, I got to do these 5 things, and then you're kind of like, chaos of the day happens and you forget about it. So you write it down and then mark them off. Is that kind of how you
yeah. So I do. So I use it two different ways. So one, to get things done, right? And then with the list, it's like, do the thing you don't want to do first, right? And these are not things that I've made up. But then I also I never was a creative person, but I can get into a creative space, and I do many, many different things inside my head at the same time. So if I can sit down and I just start writing in a track, and some of that times I'll get crazy ideas and figure out problems. Like, right here on my wall last night was how I get more revenue. And I just walk it by my office and I just have a thought and I just go somewhere where I can start writing. And and then oftentimes I'll come up with a solution or 10 solutions. And it's just a matter of starting doing them and figuring out which one works. And so that's what I use that journal for, is to get the things out of my head that are going to be gone no matter what, and if I don't write them down, then they're just going to be gone.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. And same. I do it night before so I could sleep better. I started doing it. It's literally what are my top 3 tomorrow, and just getting that down on paper. I know what I'm starting with in the morning. Simple as that. I just sleep better. Yeah. And, but it's funny. You sound like me in regard to, I didn't come up with this. It's simple. I just have to get it out of my head, but people aren't doing it still. Yeah. Like it's the most fundamental, simple things when people are buying productivity apps. Guilty of that. I wind up going back to Apple Notes in a notebook, like the bare minimum.
Yeah. Well, how many times?
I have lists on my phone. I have lists in my journal. I have lists everywhere. But if you noticed any one little interesting thing about yourself that you learned during this, and by that what I mean, like mine is, if next time you notice, I write everything in different colors. I always have 2 or 3 colored pens on me, from pink to orange to purple. It's just weird. I don't know why I do it, but I love writing in colored ink.
Do you do it different colors by day, or is it random?
By task?
Yeah.
It goes in phases. It goes in phases. It's usually pink, orange, or purple.
For the whole day, or do you have like pink, orange, purple on the throughout the day? We're like seeing. I'm like really intrigued by this. So you have you start one thought's pink, and then at noon the next thought's purple.
Okay,
and
so currently
it's a mood ring.
Everything for work is in purple, and everything for fun is in orange.
No, there you go. Yeah,
okay. It's like a calendar.
Categorize it. I do the same thing. Yeah.
But sometimes it's
Do you have one of those pens that you click it down and it changes the color, and click it down?
I miss those things. God, as a kid, I thought those were the best.
They were.
They're Papermate pens. Yeah, so I carry them. But it's funny. The next time you see it, you'll notice, because I'm always carrying 2 different colored pens on me. And they need to write well. So that's what I meant by that. Have you noticed anything weird about yourself, when you do through this process?
It's not color, but mine's right and left. So the left side's work, right side's personal. Then I'll find myself, is that work? Is that personal? That's when kind of the magic can happen. Funny. But they're chaotic. Honestly, I think about it all the time. Like Paula said, she's tried to read them. She just flat out told me, I want to see what's going on in your head. She's like, I can't read it. It doesn't make any sense, even if I could.
Yeah. It's like, it's just a mess up here.
It's got to get out of here. Back to that Gento meeting, you were hitting it. You were hitting it hard. You're obviously still working with the journal. I guess with Gento, it's been so interesting for me to see since I joined that, the different growth paths that each guy's been on. And I guess from your perspective, I loved what you talked about loyalty, and that's a part of this question. Want to come back to that with the group. Mm-hmm. But what is the biggest thing in Gento that you've taken from the group up to this point?
It's kind of an undefinable thing, to be honest with you. I struggled to think that I fit in there for years. Probably right up until when you first joined. And I realized through somebody else, like that imposter syndrome kind of scenario, it's that. But, I realized that I'm just really different when it comes to how I approach, like I said, the loyalty. I watch too many Patrick Swayze movies, I think, and I'm just a defend your sister's honor and you need a shovel friend. And that I just took that to a literal stance. And
whose car are we taking?
Yeah, exactly. And I like that. The Town. I like that movie. That's me. But it's not me in a movie sense. It's me in real life. And that has created some very wild stories that people will hear around the campfire, that some of them I don't like people that meet me now to hear, but they are like that, because that loyalty and that curtness and having 5 stepdads has just allowed me to tell you to stand up to somebody and go, hey, that's my buddy. Don't you fucking say that again. I'll smack you. And that's not a way that this world is really built, and it's not wise, but it is how I got here, and it's hard for me to hide. But I don't like people that disrespect people that I care about, and I have the ability to tell them that. And in my life, it's like, in my 20s and 30s, when you're running around this town and you bump into assholes all the time, and somebody go, well, fuck you. No, fuck you. Like, I'll kick your ass. And I'm like, I don't think so. And you want to fight? And I'm like, yeah. And it's amazing how in 4 sentences it gets to that. And
place and time for it, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's another time in this world, but that loyalty is still inside of who I am. I just let it manifest itself, and I get out of there before things like that get to that nature. But I'm definitely somebody that stands up for people when they're not there.
Who in the group did you know originally that kind of got together? Because you were hanging out with the guys before Junto was even really formed.
Yeah, it was called Thug Life when I got.
That's right. You were Thug Life. Yeah. Thug Life OG.
So there were, as the story was told, and Nate Dominguez could probably say that. He takes credit for inviting me, but they were meeting. I was number 17. They were meeting in Ted Lau's office, and Justin Hodge, Brian Diamond, Chris Duncan, Ryan Madrid, and another person that was in there. They all knew me individually because I've been running around this town, and none of them ever knew that they knew me until this moment.
They all connected the dots.
They're like, hey, we need to get some new blood in here. And one of the guys says, hey, I know. I think it was Chris Duncan was like, I know this guy, but he's a bit rough around the edges, and he's kind of a loudmouth and shit talker and all that stuff. And Nate Dominguez is like, is his name Patrick? And then Brian Diamond was like, Patrick. And then so that's the story as it was told to me.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, every group needs a bruiser, and we've got one. You're our guy.
But I'm just a big teddy bear inside. I'm an emotional teddy bear.
True that. Yeah. I mean,
just don't poke it.
You're right. Just don't poke the bear. Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
That's one thing I definitely appreciate about you, Patrick, is you don't BS anybody. You're straight to the point. You're vulnerable. You're transparent. You're very much as real as it gets and as authentic as it gets. So you bring some really, really good stuff to the group. And I agree. I mean, I think that group is such a powerhouse of alphas that imposter syndrome. I bet you every single one of us would feel that exact same way.
What an amazing group of people, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, just the caliber of folks like Ryan Strand and Chris Duncan. I mean, how many times has Chris Duncan called you out of the blue? Just, hey, I'm just checking on you. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened, man. It's absolutely insane. And from an only child that didn't really have a lot of tight friends because I moved around so much and no siblings and all that stuff, I didn't realize the boundaries. And so when you guys said brothers, I thought brothers, not friends. And that's how I approach it, man. It's moving, and at times it's brought me to tears thinking about you guys and how much you guys love me. Phil brought me over to his gym a couple years ago, and just to hang out. We didn't know each other well, and he wants to go into the steam room, and he brings me into the steam room, and there's already
You're not framing this up well.
There's already another guy in there, right? And I'm trying to be cool, but I haven't been in this steam room in like years. And this steam room is roughly 4 by 6, right?
Yeah, it's tight.
And
It's probably 5 by 6. Yeah.
It's tiny, and I go in there, and he's trying to talk to me, and it's like I'm counting the seconds to see how long I have to stay in here before he doesn't think that I'm a pussy. And this guy, he's standing up, and all of a sudden I was like, you know what, Phil, I'm sorry, but you're standing between me and the door. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I was panicking that I was gonna be murdered inside of a steam room or just go rage.
Oh God,
that's hilarious.
Then we went to the pool and had a real conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, for sure.
That's funny. Phil's taking me to the steam room too, Patrick. I know exactly what you're feeling.
You know what? Yeah, right. We might need to watch out for Phil because he gets people in the steam room. You know?
It's his icebreaker, literally.
You want to have a real conversation?
Yeah.
Get people stressed out under the sweat and see what comes out. See how I'm telling you, saunas, steam rooms, cold plunges, best combos.
Yeah. So to your point, Phil, you really reached out and we didn't know each other well, and you did that thing. And so for someone that's younger than me and for all of those things, I admire both of you guys, but Phil, it was a reason that you were named Junto Man of the Year and stuff like that, because that's what you bring to it. It's amazing, dude. I can say one of these stories about all you guys,
Well, Patrick, you bring up a good point, and we have one more question after this that we always wrap up with, but it was one thing that was important for me to cover. And I think you mentioned this uncle. It might've been a different uncle, but at that time you were taking care of your uncle that was in his last days.
Yeah.
And that was not a very convenient thing to do. And I know it's back to loyalty and taking care of those close around you, but wanted you to touch on that experience just a bit, because I think it'd be great for the listeners.
Yeah. Mike Holmes. I told you that those guys that took a chance on me, well, he was the first one, and he was a retired railroad guy, and somehow always took a liking to me and my mom. And I was 15, and he had bought into a flight. He retired from the railroad. I thought he was rich, but he was just made pension and money and all that stuff. And he wanted to fly airplanes, and he bought into a 3-part partnership at a company called Double Eagle Aviation. And they needed what they call a ramp rat. It's a kid that washes the planes and fuels the planes and, helps the mechanics out and stuff like that. And he came to me one day and he goes, Patrick, he's like, you got every reason to be an axe murderer, but you're the only one of the cousins and all the nieces and nephews that is trying to do something in his life. And so he's like, so I'm going to pay for your college for as long as you want to go. And I'm going to give you a job. And it was just that, I didn't go to more than 2 semesters at U of A, but he paid for it. He gave me a job, and he just was basically the first guy that gave me an opportunity and saw something in me. And so I just didn't want him to die alone.
It's incredible, man.
So you're the man. You're the man.
Yeah, you took a lot of time away to go be with him, and it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, well, he meant a lot to me. Shit.
I know you meant a lot to him, too.
Yeah.
We're there for him when you needed him.
Mike Holmes, dude. Rest in peace. Was a good dude, grumpy as shit, had no kids of his own, and, not a lot of people liked him because he was probably a lot like me. Just said it like what it was. But he's always nice to me and gave me an opportunity, and it was the least I could do to drive down there and sit by his side while he was, alone. And I was happy to do that. And I'd do it for either one of you guys too.
Well, dude, I appreciate you opening up and sharing that story. I know that took a lot out of you there, but that's life, and those are the things that not a lot of people like to talk about, and they don't want to share those things and be vulnerable. And that, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You're that guy. You're that guy for a lot of people, and it really helps in other people's growth to hear stories like that and go through. There may be someone listening to this right now that's going through a similar experience, and so I appreciate you sharing that.
Well, let me tell you this one to lighten that up, because this will be funny. And then you can ask me your last question or whatever, and then I can get off this podcast so I'll be crying on. But so I've always been drinking from the fire hose in my career, right? People ask me, can you do this? And I'm like, yes, having no idea how to do it. So this hedge fund wants me to remodel this hotel here in town, Crown Plaza, 44th in Washington. About an $8.5 million renovation, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in over my head, and the hotel's open, and I'm end up finishing this job in 16 weeks. $8.5 million, 297 rooms, 50,000 square feet of meeting space, a hotel, bar, and a restaurant. It's pretty cool. And there was this grumpy drywall wallpaper superintendent. So we'd have to get the drywalls finished, and he would come in and inspect the drywall, and then they'd put the wallpaper on, the pretty stuff. And this guy was the typical quintessential old superintendent at the end of his career, 5'7", cowboy, grumpy as hell, always in a bad mood, and just hates taking orders from someone younger than him. So we had it out for 16 weeks. I mean, it was brutal. And we finished this job, worked together, and we're standing out in the parking lot. And, you know, I'm a bit of a hothead anyways. And I'm passing out beers, and he comes over and he goes, you know, I got something to tell you, Patrick. And I'm like, John, fine. What is it? And he goes, you know what? You're just like X-Lax. And I'm like, I'm finally about to just throw down in the parking lot at 44th and Washington and kick this old man's ass. And I was like, dude, you're such a jerk. Why are you doing it? And he goes, just hear me out. He goes, you're just like X-Lax, because no matter what, man, you just make shit happen. And it's the best compliment I've ever got in my entire career.
That's awesome.
Well, that's just perfect way to close it out, because the working title of this episode is Grit, Growth, and Getting Shit Done.
Yeah,
there you
making
go, man.
shit happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, that's
cool.
good. All right. Well, we always wrap up every episode when we have a guest on with this final question. So I'm not gonna no BS it. I'm not gonna dance around it. I'm just gonna go right out and say it. And
You already are.
What does success look like to you, Patrick?
It looks like making enough money to have enough time to do the things you want.
Simple enough. I
Short
love
and
it.
sweet.
Phil, I was doing that on purpose, by the way. That was the whole joke of dancing around it. Basically making enough money to have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, who you want to do it with, and just own your own time.
Yeah, everything in life takes money and time. And you can make more money, but you can't make more time. And so you want to spend the time with the people and doing the things that you want to do. And that when you can do that, that's a real measure of success to me.
Love it.
That's a perfect bow on the podcast. Thanks for joining us, Patrick. We'll link where to find Patrick in the show notes, and we will be back at you next week with another episode. Thanks again, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Patrick.